Hello and welcome, dear viewer, to a little Serenity video. Today I thought I would do something very similar to what Andreas does, because I thought it was fun trying out. Today I want to create a Bad Apple demo in Serenity. So what I'm planning to do is I want to create a GUI application, of course. Like, it doesn't make sense to just write to the frame buffer. That would be a lot of work and it wouldn't really be in Serenity. And for displaying the video, I want to display a series of PNG images because we can't display video yet. We don't have a proper video codec support. And for the audio, I'm using Wave or FLAC, or yeah, that's the two audio codecs that we currently have. One of them should work. So basically, I'm just going to create a primitive video player that, for playing video, displays a series of images and loads them in and all of that stuff. So let's see how it goes. Now what I've actually already done is opened or downloaded this MP4 image, which is doesn't really open properly. Not entirely sure why, but okay. I thought I had an extension for that. Apparently I don't. So this is just the Bad Apple shadow art that you probably all know. So I haven't done anything with that except convert it to H.264 and AAC. And now, so the first step is to actually create the PNG images and the FLAC track out of that, or the wave track out of that. So let's go into base res Bad Apple. I haven't actually looked up how to do that before, so the first part of the video will be me figuring out how to use FFmpeg. Not that I don't know how to use FFmpeg, it's just that I haven't extracted a series of frames out of a video yet. So what I can do first is FFmpeg. I'm not entirely sure if I have that here. Okay, in that case we would need to go to the Windows terminal. Not entirely sure how to do that, so give me just a second. Okay, so here we are. I totally forgot that I need to do that in Windows, which doesn't matter. Let's go into Home, Linus, Serenity, base res Bad Apple. Let's see, we have that here. Let's try Bad Apple as an input, of course. Audio codec FLAC. And let's use a more computer-friendly extension. Now this might take some time. It's actually funny that it's so slow. I'm not used to audio decoding in FFmpeg being so slow. Anyways, let's try playing that. Continue by extracting video frames. So first of all, I think I'm going to do that in my bash terminal to just have a frames directory. And now let's try searching for FFmpeg. PNG from video, because I'm 100% sure that Stack Exchange has something for that. think they have something like just rate 1 out of 1, and then you just specify formatted. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that that was possible. Let's try that. So we have the bad apple input file, a rate of, let's try 20 frames per second for now. The original video, I'm pretty sure, is 30 frames per second, or we can look that up here, somewhere in here. 30 frames per second, yes. So I'm going to select 20 frames per second just because I'm not 100% sure I can load images fast enough for that. So let's just try what they are doing here, which is, for whatever reason, $ file name. I'm pretty sure that's just a shell variable, so I don't need that. Frames / %04D probably, because we want 4 zeros, .png. Whatever encoder PNG, yeah. So it's doing something, and it's dropping a lot of frames, which is a good sign because we want only 20 frames per second. Please also remember to keep yourself hydrated. I actually don't have that much water left. But in either case, let's see frames. Ah, that looks very, very good. Yeah, okay. And I was actually right. I have about 4,000 something frames. Let's just open a random frame. That looks very good. Okay. So I think that was rather simple. I didn't know it was so simple to just extract some frames from a video with FFmpeg. That's actually great. So I learned something. I hope you learned something there. Let's actually start writing some code. And for that, of course, I want to create an application that reads these directories. So, oh, and I think before that, because I want to make commits later, I am going to add this to the git ignore. So let's open the git ignore and just tell it I have some special git ignore files here anyways. Base res bad apple. Okay, and then we probably need another slash. Should give us, yes, okay, so that gives us much less noise here in the source control. So for an application in Serenity, basically you only have to put it in the userland applications directory and add it to the CMake files. But if you want it to be accessible from the bottom left menu, you also have to create an application file, which is .af, the extension. I think that's just user. Not entirely sure what that is, actually. So I haven't done that yet. I have never created an application. So maybe let's copy some simple applications for starters. Where's the Fire demo? Oh yeah, maybe we should rather use the demo folder. Let's use the demo folder and let's copy the Fire demo maybe, because I remember that being not too complicated. Let's try just pasting that. Okay, and let's rename that to Bad Apple. CMake lists. Okay. Oh, I think that is actually auto-generating the application file for us. Icon app fire. That is actually from an earlier fail, probably. something remaining. Do we have a single file here? Let's delete something like 13 lines here. Okay, and let's just shamelessly insert ourselves here. Of course, this is never going into the main repository, so you don't have to be afraid. This will never be anywhere important. Yeah, we'll probably delete some stuff here. I think I'll for now delete everything except for the main. And yeah, we can just keep the headers for now. I don't care. So let's rename that to apple.cpp, and let's add it here. And I'm pretty sure I'll have to change some other stuff as well with the Serenity component thing, which has to do with which components you select for compilation and stuff. So bad apple here and bad apple here. And now let's search for the icon, because I don't actually know where that is. Oh, we do have non-auto-generated files here. That is amazing. Let's copy and paste the fire, and let's change the name, of course, to bad apple. The executable will be bin bad apple. Category is demos. That is actually fine. Okay, is there just an icons folder? Probably, yeah. Okay, and so we have 16 by 16 and 32 by 32 icons. I remember that being a thing. Let's do something like this, and then go back into the, yeah, we have app dash something, or demo dash something maybe. No, we just have app dash something. So maybe let's actually create an icon for this, or we could just use some default icon. Is there a default icon? Piano, run, spider, desktop. What if I just delete this icon line for now? Let's, before I test that, of course, add it to this, because otherwise it won't actually compile. Now I'll have to stuff here, probably, and let's do bad apple here, and let's try compiling that. I have a shortcut set up for that, and it complains because we have missing small app icons. Okay, so we can't actually not have an icon. You know what? Let's look at the stuff we just created, our bad apple frames here. Maybe we can just take one of the first one of the frames with the apple in it from the very beginning. Yeah, something like this one actually. Let's just take this and copy it, and then just resize it to either 32 by 32 or 16 by 16. So which folder were we in? Icons, 32 by 32. Paste. Now let's rename that to app bad apple, and that is probably way too large. So Okay, so I'm back. I've actually now edited the videos into proper icons. I didn't think I would be creating some icons today, but here they are. This is the 32 by 32 and this is the 16 by 16. So let's first of all move those into correct directories, which is res icons 32 by 32. Let's delete the old one and let's try and drag that in here. And let's take this one, rename it, and then let's drag it into the 16 by 16. Okay, that looks very good. So if we just have apple and try compiling that again. Okay, that is very good. Of course, we have some errors in our new file here, but at least it detects the icons correctly. So I think I'm going to just remove everything up to where's the app? GUI application construct. Okay, let's maybe delete basically everything. Let's try that again. Very nice. And now let's see if we have a new demo. It seems like we have a new demo, except it doesn't show up because we have not told it to do anything. Let's see if it actually appears here somewhere. It does, and we can probably kill it. And it disappears. Okay. So that's actually good. Let's continue by writing some code. So what I want to actually do first is get the PNGs loading and playing, because that's kind of the hard part and the part that I have never done before. What I've done before is just play some audio, which is quite simple. So we need res pet apple. I haven't actually checked if that appears in the system, but I'm 100% sure that it does, because that's how base works. We need send file receive file descriptor. Not entirely sure if we need receive and send file descriptor, but I'm going to leave those pledges in there. And we of course only pledge to read from. Wait, maybe that will actually crash, because it might be the case that the GUI application thing needs to read other stuff from REST, so I think I'm going to leave it at that, or otherwise I'm going to waste everyone's time. Let's see, so we want a window. I've actually never created a GUI window, so let's see, we probably only need something like a let's see. Can probably just do that. And Doesn't look too hard. So I'm kind of confused. I'm kind of looking for how to set the default, how to set the app to actually use that window, but I think that happens automatically. Let's maybe just recheck with Fire, because I think Fire did something very similar. They just later on added the main widget. And I think, yeah, I'm going to create a custom widget as well here. As they have Fire here, we're going to create a Bad Apple widget that actually plays the PNG and the audio. So I think that's everything I need to do. Set icon. I'm not entirely sure why they need to set the icon. Well, I could do that, but it's not really important right now. So, yeah, we just show the window later on. Construct. Okay. I'm currently getting no code completions. I think that's because I haven't installed Clang 13. Clang start language server. So I think I need to use the installed version and reload the window. Let's try that. And now it's actually indexing. So we're going to take another hydration break while Clang is indexing all the files. That might take a while. So I think I'm actually going to start with a class up here. Just a bare bones class, which would be Apple jet probably. Let's not have it do anything for now. We're almost done indexing. So by the way, the indexing is happening down here, or it's telling me about it down here. So it should be done real soon. We're already getting some false errors, so that's great. So I can do finally I get no suggestions. Let's use GUI window here just so that I can work with it. Okay, so I can say probably set size or something. Set minimum size to either open the overloads, either an int size or the width and height itself. Now let's check the resolution of those files. Rather, I'm going to do that in the terminal. Let's go into base res and Apple frames. Let's check the 01 G 960 by 720. So we're going to do that. 960 720, and let's just, I don't know if I can just disable maximization because that makes no sense. Okay. And these are going to be last commands probably. Or I can just do that right now. Will be the window set main widget of bad apple. Okay. That gives me a ref pair of bad apple. So now we're going to go back to Fire and see what it does. It probably just overrides a bunch of methods. It does. So we probably will only want to have a timer event or a paint event, or rather both. We want a timer event to load new PNG images, and we want the paint event to paint a new frame if necessary. So you can just tell it to have a, and this is doing something very similar, yeah, so I can just tell it to give me a timer every so and so often. So let us try creating a public, it's probably a virtual destructor. It does, and it will need constructor. And then let's just put that here, because we don't actually need to do anything in the destructor. Or will we? Maybe. I don't know. For now, we don't need to do anything. So constructor. Where do we start with this? Not entirely sure. Let's maybe override the paint event. We need to get a painter for that, or just a GUI paint event. And reference, override. I'll have to cast that into void because it's unused. So, or maybe we just, yeah, we maybe just do anything that we know it works. This is probably dying, and this is incorrect. These are all actually incorrect, so let's just quickly change them. Okay, and I'll probably start the timer here already. Stop the timer and start a timer for every so and so often. So we need to know the frame rate. Say we want a frame rate which will be 20, and then the timer is 1 divided by the frame rate times 1000. So just 1000 divided by the frame rate, which should be 1000 divided by, and yes, I am going to very nicely static cast anything in this video, because I don't know, that is probably because I need to have a C object up here. And what are they doing differently? Oh, we get the same complaint here, which is fine because the VS Code Clang extension is kind of dumb and doesn't notice a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to ignore it for now. So let's finish the timer stuff up by actually having a timer event or something, I think. How does that work? Yeah, okay, it just doesn't. I think I've imported that, not entirely sure. And also this needs to go. Because, do we? Oh, we actually need to include libcore object. I think we're just indirectly including it currently because many people need libcore object. Okay. So let's add a little timer event. Whatever. I don't actually need to specify that this is coming from bad apple because we will see which application prints that anyways. So yeah, I hope we will just get a gray 960 by 720 centered rectangle. But let's not get our hopes up because it doesn't even compile. Because I can't find timer event. In fact, which I need libcore event for that. I thought I had that. And don't give me AK format. Or maybe give me a AK format, but just give me AK forward. Or whatever, I don't care. Let's try that again. Nope, it does not like to find GUI timer event. That is not timer event. Let's try finding that here because this clearly finds it. That is still a libcore event. That is not libGUI. Let's try event. And do we have? We don't have timer event here. Okay, well, I'm kind of confused, especially because I kept all of these. Includes the same. I think I still have, yeah, I have all of these still. Which means that any one of these is indirectly including it. Or I'm not linking the correct libraries, except I am linking all the 3 important libraries. Huh. That is indeed interesting. Okay, let's see. Timer event. Or is that actually in core object maybe? Or maybe just fire doesn't inherit, it inherits from frame. Okay, so I think that's the problem. Frame. And in fact, I just realized we need to call the super constructor, which should help us maybe. Timer event does not exist still. Oh, it is a core timer event. Well, so far for me being stupid. And this one. Okay, and now I think, yeah, that's GCC. You can pay attention. This is a GCC error, which doesn't refresh until I compile again. Except the Clang errors are now gone. This is a Clang error, but this one is actually a false positive. Well, we are getting a reference down here, which would explain that. This is rather hard. Okay, now we're getting it to compile. Let's see if we get something on screen. Okay. Let's see, that is probably a null reference. I am pretty sure. Nope, that is a misbehave. Set window minimum size bed window ID. Set maximized get window rect. Oh, I am changing all of these values before I have ever shown the window, which would make a lot of sense. So let's take these three and put them after window show, which it will probably cause something that I'm trying to avoid here, which is flickering. So this might flicker. It will show the window, then set the size, then set maximized, and then center it, which, yeah, would flicker it. Set window minimum. Yeah, I can't do anything basically unless the window is shown. So that will probably not look, but I think I'm going to deal with that. Just accept it. So let's try doing that. And we are, again, it's, why is it giving me the entire? That is a lot of crash information that I actually do not need. Okay. Huh. I think it will take some time until I get a window on screen. That is a reference. What is set main widget doing? I can't ask this. I probably can't ask them. Window construct is a non-null refper, which would make a lot of sense because I am not actually using auto here. Because set main widget. That's in window. That is not returning anything, or it is. It's returning a reference. So I just need to learn these types. Or I could use auto, but then I won't get any type inference. So let's just try putting in this. That is true, this variable is unused. So let's void cast it and let's relaunch application. Amazing. I think, yeah, we have a GUI window here, which is resizable, which I will have to prevent. Oh, so the minimum size is actually already set correctly. Also, we are getting a frame timer. We are only getting a paint event once we call update, which is fine. So the paint event essentially just has to take the current image and paint it, and the timer will update the current image when it needs to, and then call update, which will then go on the next frame and call the paint. That's very nice. I think we're onto something here, and before I continue, I will have to first of all, I think I'll commit that in the current state. I think that's everything. We need this one and we need this one. So you might be wondering why I'm now committing from the command line. It's because I want an editor here. Demos. Add a bad apple demo. Work on a bad apple demo. This demo will do the standard thing of running bad apple, because as everyone knows, every piece the first version will use PNG images and flag/wave, but right now it's just an empty application. Get ready for some Toho references that I won't get. Need a reason to put the smiley in there. That should work. Okay, let's continue. So what we have is a window where we can set the minimum size. We can probably force it to not be resizable. Set resizable false. Okay, and before I continue, that's what I wanted to do. I am going to change my sync local so that it doesn't use a scale factor of 2, because then the entire application is larger than the screen. And it might be a little bit hard for you to see then, but I hope it will be fine. Okay. Now I would like to load a PNG image and display it on the screen. So I have never done that, so let's try loading that. I think we just need a refpitter, refpitter. I think we can't do that, unfortunately, to a graphics image. No, graphics bitmap, probably frame, whatever. So frame equals graphics bitmap, something like try load from file. It looks very promising. We're going to use string this path, which will be /res/badapple. I just like having my variables up here somewhere. Frame folder, which will be /res/frames just. Okay. Now this probably complains that it's not const expert, so we are just going to do this. Make it const instead. And so we are going to format it with oh god, I hate these plugins sometimes. Come on, just give me // this. I'm guessing there is a better way somewhere in the lib core path or something, but I don't care right now. Oops. Let's see, why does it complain? Because pretty sure that formatted exists. Formatted. Well, it does. We need a checked format string, which is just can be auto-generated. Yeah, I think that's just a false positive once again. Okay. Now I need painter, which is probably this dot this dot. I've done this before, except I don't remember how to do it now. Oh, it's probably graphics painter or something. Graphics painter this. Something like that. Painter construct. I don't know. Let's see, or do we need a libgui painter? Oh, I think we need a libgui painter. Which is just a graphics painter, except it can also paint on a widget, except libgui painter which is probably needs star. Okay, and can I now just painter let's frame add 0 0 and that get width or something. I'm just inventing APIs at this point. Okay, so this is actually a false positive. Can't convert a ref putter to a const int point. Let's so a graphics painter, let's look that up again. Can have a we first need a point, then a bitmap, then the source rectangle, or we just do, I think this is optional, but I'm not entirely sure. Bitmap, interact. Okay, so I think I'll just have to do a graphics int points. Point of 0 0, then the frame, and then a probably the frames whatever rectangle. Let me actually get, it probably has something like its container rectangle, it's rect, yeah, okay, so just frame rect. So now we need a reference, so I need to deref that, which will fail if the frame doesn't exist. If frame is null, then I'm going to of course I also just noticed that I need to put in like a frame number here, which is just 04.png. It's really nice that we can just do that. 04d. Let's just have the frame number as 1, so we can just put in what I'm doing here. We can just put in a number and it will automatically format it with the same format that we exported it earlier. So it's rather simple to do that. Quote load frame I can't just, well, I can return, which will basically make the widget not do anything. This is just a crashing state anyways, so, or like a state that we don't ever want to be in and then continue on from, so it's fine to just have the entire system in an inconsistent state point. I hope that I did this formatting correctly. We will see. Okay, we have a crash, which is caused by the painter, which I'm pretty sure I miss doing some types here. what are like normal people doing when they use a painter? I'm 100% sure that Fire does something similar. GUI painter, painter this. Well, this is the same syntax. But I'm going to use it. Oh, I think they're not using a pointer. They are doing a dereference, not a pointer. And then we have, yeah, we just have some different drawing. Just probably just the internal the internal whatever bitmap. Just doing whatever. Let's see. Painter.blit. Is it crashing at painter.blit or is it already crashing at the construct? I think it's crashing at the construct, which tells me we're, oh, right, I am doing this in I'm doing this in the constructor, which is a rather bad idea. I just wanted to load the bitmap in the constructor. So that will stay there, except I'm now going to do that in the paint event, which makes much sense. Let's try that again. That was a lot of alt tabbing for me there. Okay, so we're not getting an image. Which is kind of bad. Maybe we need to clear the frame first. That might be the case. I have not written a lot of GUI code in my time, as you might notice. At club_rect event.rect. That is actually a good idea. I'm going to steal that and just put it here. Okay. So maybe I'm just clipping it incorrectly. I don't know. Let's find the actual blade implementation. Where is it? Here is it. Okay. Probably we're using a simplified implementation, which doesn't appear here. Okay. Trying to think of which application did I do that in. That was piano. Let's look at some piano code, shall we? Like, not that I'm not doing that like basically every day. At least I feel like it. That is the roll widget. Well, roll widget's paint event. Paint event. It is, and we have a background painter here, and I'm blitting that back here. with just the background, I'm basically doing the exact same thing. Okay. So what is happening here? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. This is all very weird to me right now. I think I'm going to also just opening the file manually just to verify that it actually loads in our PNG library. But I don't think that FFmpeg is creating particularly strange PNGs, and also the PNG implementation should be rather so. I definitely caused some paint events here. It's not doing anything, essentially. Don't know where the timer is coming from. Is that a new feature? Oh, that is a new feature. Didn't even notice, like a system timer. Okay, let's try opening that file for ourselves. Go into res, bad apple, frames. Oh, I think I am just plain stupid because the first frame is black. Okay, so let's try something like the 64th frame. Okay, let's change that to 64. So now I'm rather confident that it did actually load something. It just doesn't help that the frame background by default is black. Okay. Ooh, that is very nice. We have that in the top left corner. So we can still max. Okay, so it doesn't stop us from resizing. I actually want to disable that before we continue, because that looks rather funky. So let's try that. I did say set resizable false. Maybe I need to do that as a last step. Set minimum size, center on screen, set maximized false, or rather set maximized false after this. And then maybe let's window set max, set, I cannot tell it to not be maximizable. Set minimizable. Well, it should be minimizable. Set modal. Okay. Maybe that's just the order of things. Well, it's just setting a variable, so okay, so if it's resized or something, it should probably respect that variable. Let's just set for resizable without an E. Async create window. Oh, so I need to change the resizability before I actually create the window with the Windows server. So I personally think that doesn't make a lot of sense, but we're going to deal with that. So set resizable false, and then show it. And then all of these we've already verified that they only work when we actually have the window. Is important. Let's just add that as a reminder. Okay. And so I think I'm going to quickly test that, and then we're actually on to loading multiple images sequentially. Okay, now now I can't maximize it. I can just move it around. That's very, very nice. I think the only thing that I'm going to do now is just give it a name, give it the rectangle, give it the icon. So set double buffering enabled. I think I'm just going to copy those two lines. Set double buffering, set title. Oops. Actually use the correct exclamation marks. You all have to know that Bad Apple has exactly 2 exclamation marks after it, because Japanese people like to go overboard with their exclamation marks. We all know that. And let's also take these 2 lines, because after all we have some icons, so why not just use them? And the question is, can I do that before showing the image? Are they doing that? They're doing it afterwards. So I'm confused. GUI window construct. GUI window construct. Set some stuff. Set some stuff. Set the main widget. Okay, so I'm kind of confused which order I can do what things. Well, resize is called before show, but what I'm doing is set minimum size. So I think I'm going to just call resize there somewhere. Anyways, let me actually put that as the very last instruction, so that we have the icon, which should be app Bad Apple, and we disable double buffering, and then we say window.resize to 960 by 720. Okay, and then I think we had some issues with, I'm going to just leave those in there, but center on screen is definitely only possible after show. So I think that should be a correct order. Of course, I want to do as much as possible before actually showing the window, so it doesn't flicker and jump around and stuff. But it should be fine. Okay, so I didn't see that. Yeah, so it flickers. You can see it is up here for just a second, and then we move it, and then we resize it. But I think I'm not going to deal with that right now, because honestly I don't know what to do. Okay, so let's try just every time the timer fires, which is down here, loading the next image. So let's have frame num, which is actually a unsigned, which starts at 1, and let's have this in here. let's actually remove those debug lines. So we can load that if the frame is null. So we just do here if frame is null, return, and down here we call update, because that will cause a repaint and that's what we want. So the frame number can go, and we, on the timer, we have to increment the frame number. And without going into fancy stuff like buffering the frames or anything, I think that might be it. So I was thinking earlier before starting this recording that I might need some buffering, like load PNGs in the background and stuff, but we'll see if this performs appropriately. Okay, it doesn't perform appropriately. So this is not 20 frames per second. I can tell that, and we can see that the system is at very high load. And if I just move around and open the system monitor, yeah, that's probably also a massive amount of I/O, which we don't display in system monitor right now. So at least we can load the frames in order properly, which is already a good sign. But this is still not performant enough. So let's try. Let's first commit this actually, because it's something that works. So I'm going to commit that. And we need to format it, of course. Play the video tentatively. The performance is bad, but hey, plays bad apple. Okay, I have just had a thought about how to do this, and I think we're going to use a queue data structure of some sort, and just have a background task all the time, or like whenever it's possible or whenever it's necessary, loading new PNG images into the queue, and the timer simply then extracts the first element out of the queue and puts it into the frame. Okay, so what we for that first need is a queue, an AK queue of, it doesn't have to say AK in the front there, because that's the standard library basically. A queue of ref pairs of graphics bitmap, and that is the frame queue. That has a section size of 1000 or something, segment size. I have never worked with that, but yeah, that's probably 1000 elements at a time allocated or something, probably. Something. Ah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, yeah, I kind of understand how that's implemented now. Anyways, what it's probably not is thread save, and I want to have a background task which runs on another thread to access this. So we need a threading mutex. So we need, I'm just going to change all of these to be in the standard format, and then I can probably delete some of these later on, but so mutex, I think I even did some hacking on that. Oh no, I wrote the mutex locker, I believe, or something, I don't know. Yeah, so no, I wrote the condition variable, right? That's what I did. Oh god. Yeah, here we are. That was my PR. That's a long time ago, 2 months ago. Okay. Anyways, this is just mutex. It's basically just a pthread mutex wrapper. So why do I have that open? So we can just have a mutex, and I think a mutex locker is just something that when constructed locks and when destructed unlocks. Okay, so we can basically just say here qmutex, we can have a mutex locker lock over the qmutex, which will make this block synchronized. Frame num is not accessed from the other thread, and so we don't need that. And so from this point on, everything is safe. So if I just replace that with a q access, we will have synchronization. Let's hope that it's actually that easy. So for that, I actually need to look up background action, which is also lib threading, right? Yeah, I can just tell it to action on complete, or I can just have background action base in q work or something. Just what is background action not base doing? Now I'm confused. What is it actually ever doing anything? I am strongly confused right now, because it would be nice to just have one thread that has work added to it again and again, and it seems like background action base can do something like that. Yeah, I think so. I don't need result, it just accesses the queue, and it does so synchronized. So yeah, so let's see. Oh, here we go. I'm so dumb actually. Yeah, it's just in queuing work. Remove from parent, because that's like core object stuff, I'm pretty sure. But I don't need that. It would actually be nicer if I could just yeah, I think I can just do background action base. Okay. Background action base of type, what is it? It also has a result, right? It does. It doesn't need that, so I can just void that. frame loader. And the enqueue work is safe. The enqueue work is safe. So we can just directly use that, I think. Yeah, you go die, please. You go die in a fire, Clang D. Absolutely useless piece of crap. Yeah, so we lock that here. So I think frame loader, we're going to start that here. Enqueue work. And it will need to capture this, which it can't because it can. Because I need to get the mutex, and those are actually all named incorrectly, I just noticed. So I actually have to frame num. Actually, I have to change that now. That's currently unused. Enqueue mutex and okay. Finally, I can also just an M here, and here, and here, and here. Let's do some more renaming. And that should be it. Okay, so yeah, you go complain. It has some init. This has some init code, right? It does. Static all actions. Oh, right, that's like program global stuff. So static, which is fine. I mean, it's all synchronized, so who cares? And this is not the correct indentation level. Thank you. Okay, so what do we need to do? We want to do basically this. Oh, I just realized how I can create a background action, just a plain background action out of that. Because I can just put a while loop in there, and then if nothing is to be done, I can just wait. Create, okay, equals threading background action void create. Okay. Complete nothing. I just have to put it, just give it an action. Okay. I think we only have to capture M frame by reference. And mutex. Oh, that's probably a this. This cannot be captured by reference. The by value. Of course, there is create Probably don't need that. I'm totally unsure how C++ works right now, except I am going to continue here and just say, okay, we don't override the frame. We have a loaded frame variable in here. Last loaded frame. And starts at 0. While the frame number is greater than the last loaded frame plus some buffer. What do we say? We say, oh, we have that here. And that will be, I don't know, 60 frames. That is 3 seconds plus frame buffer. While that is the case, we want to do that. Wait, that's not entirely correct, but the condition is right. Let me just format that. So while that is happening, we want to load a frame. Right, no. We need a while true around the entire thing. And while the frame number, I have to do something like thread spin or something. Has timer. Weird, can I not just interesting. I'd like to have something like a wait spin. Is there something like that? Spin lock, recursive spin lock. That's kernel. Shut up, kernel. I don't care about you. Okay. Spin. Test libT thread. Just has some spin stuff. I don't want to lock, I just want to. Or is it something like a yield or something? Do we have a yield here? Schedule a yield. That is just in scheduler. That is a libc function. But I don't think there is an abstraction over that, so we're just gonna use it. Okay. While the frame number is, oh, that's minus the frame buffer. Okay, and now we don't create any, we don't override the current frame, but we do audio. That was just an instinct. typing something with audio. We load a new frame. Just increment the frame number. I actually noticed here yeah, I'll have to write some code down there later on. New frame, if new frame is null, then we interrupt this thread. I don't know how to exit the entire program, but I'm not going to worry about that because I'm pretty sure that we can load all files. And then I'm going to create a mutex locker over the qmutex, and also unlock that later. I'm going to frame queue queue the new frame. We should also transfer ownership, except such a concept doesn't exist in or it will move. That's how it's called in C++. Let me just recheck the API. It's enqueue. Yeah, it's a move. Okay. That should actually be pretty much all the code. So let's do the corresponding thing here. Going to mframe equals lock.unlock actually down here, because I don't want to stall the qmutex while we're already updating, which has nothing to do with the queue. Okay, that might actually be everything. This should just be the simple producer consumer pattern. That's what it's called. One thread, this background action thread, always produces new elements and the other one always consumes them. Okay, so the first frame we're going to load is frame 1, because this is initialized to 0 and we do an increment beforehand. Okay, and actually we don't care about the frame number here anymore. It's quite nice. Invalid parameter type void. Okay, let's try bool again then. We can't initialize the background action. Oh, because we have to do that up here probably. Then just grab all of that, close it down, call it braces, and that should be it. Oh, we do need, oh, I'm so dumb. Of course we need it. Because the other thread needs to know, so this background loader thread needs to know where the main thread currently is in the playback. Should be this. Okay, we get ++ frame number, Now I'm realizing that access to frame number is not synchronized, except I don't think I have to care because this thread only reads. So it might just read like 1 or 2 frames off when the other one is incrementing it at the same time, but that doesn't matter because this is just, there is a buffer of 60 frames. So if you start loading new frames like 1 frame too late, that shouldn't be an issue. Should. Okay, so bad apple lambda to AK function bool that returns. How is background action actually used? Oh, of course you have to specify the return type. Well, that was kind of dumb. Didn't fix that. Cannot convert a lambda bool to AK function bool threading background action bool reference. Huh, so what does this shit return? Literally just returns return 0. But what does create return again? It's actually a pointer to the background action. But then why doesn't this work? And why can we just this is very confusing to me. Yeah, everyone is just not saving that. Everyone is just ignoring the return value. I guess then I'm going to do that as well. Let's just have a background action create and remove that. Oh, because probably in the create. Oh no, I have to actually specify that it's a bool action here. Then probably auto here or something. It actually cares for auto 29 to bool. Well, fuck you. I'm going to change that back to bool. Still doesn't like it. Create the function result of a background action. Well, I am strongly confused because everyone seems to be doing the exact same thing. Oh, because probably that's an... Oh, because we get in the background action. That's it. We're getting in the background action. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't need it, but it's nice to have it. So mutex locker, I mean threading mutex locker. Of course I do. Where's that? Down here. And we might be onto something here, and then we're only missing the of works. But let's not get our hopes up. Okay, so pthread create. What's the actual complaint? Has not pledged thread. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Of course, I want to pledge some threads. I want to beg for some threads from the operating system. Not is empty. Of course, because we can only pull, that's probably timer event line 100. Yeah, okay. So that's just the queue is not empty, we want to take the next frame. That of course will cause lag if the queue is empty, which might happen in the beginning while we're loading the first couple of frames. But I hope that or if it does ever happen, of course, then we just have a safe, just lag out, because that's the only thing we can do at that point if the frame is not loaded yet. The next one, but yeah, okay. I think I have an integer overflow, I just remembered. But let's just see. That starts playing anything. It doesn't. At least we have our icon. Okay, I think I have like a wrong condition here. While the frame number is less than the last loaded frame. Just for safety, I'm going to make that an int. So then in the beginning, the frame number is 0. The last loaded frame minus the frame buffer is minus 60. So this is false because 0 is clearly greater than. Okay, I'm just gonna debug line this now, just for safety. Frame blah is playing, loaded to frame number and last loaded frame. Maybe we actually have to synchronize the frame number, but that wouldn't make any sense. Not particularly much sense. Let's try just printing stuff. Because as everyone, we at Serenity love some printf debugging. Yeah, it's incrementing these. And it hasn't loaded yet. Okay, so it's actually reading the frame number correctly, so we don't need to synchronize that because those are all read-only accesses. the last loaded frame minus the frame buffer, or like the buffer time in frames. That's like a weird name, but anyways, last loaded frame. So the buffer distance is that. Yeah, so it's never actually starting to do anything there. But what I'm also going to do here is actually only increment the frame number if we have a new frame. So it won't actually call for, like that would cause an issue if we have constant lag. We will actually drop a lot of frames, which might be a good idea. I don't know. I'm still hoping that we can, with this multi-threading, get it to actually load frames fast enough. Yeah, that is an int overflow. Okay, let's change all of these to int. Okay, now I'm running into these errors which happen after you have been running WSL for a long time. QEMU starts acting up. Now it's not even, oh, couldn't load frame 0. Just reading here. That makes a lot of sense, because this is also wrong. This is last loaded frame. And I think some debugging output, yeah, this is wrong. Doesn't matter, of course, for the logic. Still, yeah, that's actually good. Wait, that's very good. Okay. I think it's just the system. It can't load frames fast enough. So what you see now is that we're not skipping any frames. Okay, so I think we're going to halve the frame rate there, and that might actually help us. So frame rate, change that to 10, and then I'll have to redo the bad apple thing. So basically I have to remove the frames directory, all of them, please. Okay, and then we're going to call that with a frame rate of 10 FPS. Okay, I'll have to create the frames directory again. This time we're dropping many more frames, which is good. Now I'll have to actually remove my disk image, because it will still contain all of the old frames. That is an issue I can foresee right now. /build i686 _disk image. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Like now you can kind of calculate that in your head. We have 100 milliseconds to load a single frame. So I'm just thinking about the speed in my head. That should actually be about correct. Is it double buffering? I'm not sure. Oh, well, what it's telling me here is that it has actually loaded all of them. So maybe it's just debug output right now. I don't know. So that's actually a good sign, maybe. Or just let's just put that up behind a // Okay. Actually, I think I'm just going to say that's good there and just continue with audio. So of course audio video sync is a big issue here, but I think I'm just going to ignore it by starting the audio playback as soon as the first frame is playing. So let's say if the frame number is 1, then we're going to start the audio. Which of course we haven't written that function yet. Let's do it. That's a white apple start audio. So we would have to have a okay, so we need lib audio. Just going to do all of that again. We need lib audio, which means I'll have to add that to the CMake list. And let's actually try flag, because I think I already created the flag something. Let's see. I already created the flag. That is great. Okay. Also maybe audio loader and create for the formatted. We need the base path / the file name. Base path, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, okay. Let's do audio file apple.flag. Now we can change that if we need to, but I hope we don't. Okay, we can change that to wave. That's what I mean. If maybe audio God, what does that return again? Oh, I am actually I am actually mentally already coding against the new API that I've submitted for PR, but that is still in code review. So that is unfortunate. Now we have to do an isNull check here, of course with period. Okay, that's all we can do here. We don't get a good error message from the loader creation in that case. We can just say, wait, that's never null. I forgot. This is error probably or something, because how does that work again? I have written half of this library and I can't remember. It has error and then error string. Yeah, that's the old API. I don't like it. That's why I rewrote it. That's the error string. The audio error string. Okay. Oh, I can just say loader here. Okay, and then we say, then we start up another thread. Okay, again the bool is just a placeholder. True or something like that, I don't care. Oh right, yeah, it's whining again. Okay, so then that thread is accessing the loader, which is fine. We don't need to synchronize that because the main thread is never supposed to actually access it. So we just load some audio, play it, wait until it's played, and then load some more, something like that. That just reminds me of all the issues our audio system still has. But in either case, let's say let's just use the default size. That has error. Okay. Whatever, I don't care. So the samples are in. Wait, how does that work? That's just a ref putter of a buffer. Okay. Can just say. Okay, now I have to be careful because audio server connections is IPC and they don't like it if they are used on the wrong thread, which means I have to create them on the other thread, but I'm not entirely sure if that will work, or I'm not entirely sure if that will work still with that sort of thing. Yeah, so let's try just audio client was that audio client connection construct. Okay, let's just hope that works. Let's do a while to run this while loader has more samples to something like that. I don't think so. Loaded samples is less than total samples. Yeah, okay. Simple enough. Okay, then queue samples, which should be synchronous, so it should block until we get give me the client connection. That's enqueue async enqueue. Yeah, so that will wait. That will just wait forever. Where is it? Enqueue buffer, which is on the whatever, I don't know, doesn't matter. Kind of tired here. Anyways, I will definitely finish this up. Yeah, and that should be everything. We deal with the error, we enqueue the samples, and then we go back in the loop. Let us try that. Now, of course, I need to add this as a private member function, which is okay. If that succeeds, I think we're actually almost done here. Okay, we never hit that condition for some reason. Let's see. This should be incrementing the frame number, and then the first time around we should be doing that. And what? We need the unlock here. It's just in case that update does something something funky. I'll just have it above it, and then let's just put in a yeah, we did an error. Wanted to okay. Entirely sure why no audio is playing. Let's just see. The audio server is not active. Audio server mixer thread is at 0. It's not actually queuing the audio. Well, the system audio is on, so I might actually be doing something wrong? Starting audio playback. So maybe that's just the different thread thing that we need to do there. Let me actually open aplay. I feel like I have done this 1,000 times, but I'm never 100% sure. That's actually how I do that. And then I just call audio client enqueue. Well, of course, there's an issue here actually with the async enqueue. Because I forgot about this. Which means I'll have to do another thing. I forgot about resampling, of course. Which is an audio resample helper, which is like the most terrible type I've ever touched, because it's not doing proper resampling. Is it frame? I think that's frame. Is it? No, it's double. Which is from order sample rate and the audio connection. Probably that, yeah, okay. Okay. So of course AV sync will not be perfect, but there's nothing we can do about that. It's not doing anything. There are no errors. Can I just slash res bad apple. Yeah, of course I can. Well, the only thing that might be the issue is actually the audio client connection. So we have a couple options here. We could use subprocess and just call aplay with that thing, and I actually think that would be the easiest thing to do. Do we have like core process spawn? Oh, I can just, that's simple. Let's do that. It's probably a bit harder than that because I need to set some arguments. POSIX spawn. Oh no, that's actually it disowns the process, and I don't want that. I want to have a sub-process. Do we have some kind of sub-process? Well, that is kernel stuff. Okay, trying to find something there. Yeah, it doesn't really help. This is a standard term. Is there anything in libcore? That's AK. Please give me. I think I'll just have to call POSIX spawn manually and not disown it. Yeah, I think I'll just have to do that. Okay. Okay, and we get spawn.h. I don't, yeah, so we don't need these three. And let's see what the API is there. I've never done that. POSIX spawn p char argv. I can just give it null putter. Wait, no. So argv, I have to give it something. Env is can just be null putter. Except I don't know what process does. It just environ. Yeah, that's probably from Serenity H. So they just do blah blah null putter argv, and that is actually a null putter for spawn address, so I don't need that. Or file actions and spawn adder is null putter. Okay, so we need to take Serenity and then we get back a pointer. We are spawning arguments. Where does this get its argv from? Path string characters and null putter, yeah. Okay, yeah, so we can't use process because it doesn't support arguments, at least not yet. So we just need /bin/aplay or something. I'm Pretty sure that's where it's installed. Hit play and just take this. I thought I would do some POSIX spawn today. That is actually not the second argument. That's no better. And then we have the argv, and then the env pitter. Honestly, I'm just gonna give it nothing there and hope that it works. And let's print out the process ID. And finally, let's comment out all of this code. Can I convert brace enclosed initializer list to whatever? Yeah, because I probably have to do that. Or something. Oh, okay. I have to just gonna copy that. I mean, that's ugly code, but I honestly don't care. Scalar object argv requires one element in initializer. Well, that's probably because I forgot to put some array brackets here. Can I convert AK string to const char? Is there like a chars or something? No, let me just look that up real quick. I know that there's a function like this. Bytes. Where's that? Well, where did that function go? Characters. Here we are. Okay. Sometimes the Vim extension just aggravates me to no end because it's in some weird mode that I triggered unintentionally. I have to press escape 1,000 times. Oh, that was the wrong one. That just crashed because we did something dumb, maybe. Has not pledged proc, because of course now I need proc. Maybe I should just try and play the audio on the main thread. Might actually be simpler. But I don't care. This is a learning opportunity for you. crashes again. That's a null pointer dereference. Not in bad apple, but in spawned a play with PID 39, which is correct. Except I don't know what it's doing after that. It shouldn't be doing anything after that. My computer is kind of going crazy right now. Oh, because that's actually still playing. Because I think that's just because I didn't pass any variables. Okay. Oh, I already have Serenity. So I need this. Up here somewhere, right. That's what they're doing. Yeah, it would return error number. I don't care actually. I just want to get this to run. Convert char star star to const char in initialization. That is the very last argument to POSIX spawn, which is, yeah, a C string array. Well, it's not complaining here, which is weird. What does it want again? Oh, because I am actually dumb. And I actually need a null pointer here. Because otherwise there's no termination to the entire thing. Yeah, they're doing that here as well. So I just found 2 errors. Okay, let's see. No. Again, that's the has not pledged exec. So we have to pledge exec. I think at this point we could basically remove the pledge because we're pledging basically anything. Okay. Actually haven't looked at the runtime of the video in a while. I'm suspecting I'm like at 2 hours or something. Just figuring stuff out. No, that's just no such file or directory. Then let's actually find a play, something. Or I'm not entirely sure what that is. That down here somewhere. It is down here. /bin/ yeah, that is just a regular file. Let me just check that in file manager. Something on my computer is absolutely spinning the fence like crazy. I'm pretty sure you can't hear that, but I'm also not super confident about that. Hey, play. Here we have it. Can I run that? I can't because it needs arguments. So oh, because we didn't unveil that. Let me just unveil that path real quick. So right now we're having a lot of troubles with like stuff I initially restricted intentionally, like the, what's that, RWX most likely. Okay, maybe it's that. Let's try, and I hope this time I pledged correctly, hopefully. Failed to load audio file, no loader plugin available. Okay, so it should tell me what I spawned, except no, it's not. Makes a lot of sense. So base path and audio file, which should be /res/badapple. Okay, I play. Okay. I'm just gonna hack this right now and just give it set path. Give it some extra options that I can read out the path. Probably I'm giving it a wrong path. Just be that simple. /badapple/badapple.flag. Yeah, that's its name. Okay, that's not correct. I definitely messed up my spawn there, because that is basically just an index out of bounds, which might explain. Yeah, probably this is just dead. Okay, this has turned into a really complicated situation because now I'm dealing with uninitialized memory. Except I don't know if there's just a simpler way there. String view path. String path string equals path. Well, they are. Oh, probably because it's a local variable. Okay, let's maybe make that. Basically, I'm trying to copy what they are doing, and this is clearly a local variable, but it's valid for the entire function, so it shouldn't be destroyed by the point we call POSIX spawn. Okay, string file name equals string formatted, and then we call characters later on. Okay, let us try that. That's amazing, except it's way too late. That's about 5 seconds late, I think. Okay. So that was interesting. We got it to work finally. Except way too slow. Maybe it's just actually a better solution to just have like a shared samples object. Or we would, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to just hack it for now, or just by simply having this start a timer. Can I just stop timer, start timer, in like 5 seconds, something like that. Okay. And then I tell it that the timer is restart drawing stuff in 5 seconds. So tell it meeting for audio is true. Here if meeting for audio, then we want to stop the timer and restart the timer with our normal time. This one. That is like basically the greatest hack, but as long as it works, I will accept it. Waiting for audio, we need to write that really quickly. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how good of an idea it is to restart a timer inside the timer handler, but let's see if it works. Okay, now we started too late, so it definitely works. Now we need to find out the timing. I can definitely tell that the video is playing at the correct speed. Okay, we only need to wait like 2 seconds or something. That was way of an overestimation of what sort of time interval we need. Let's hide more. I think that's almost on time. Okay, so the audio is still about a second early. Wait, is that just a second? So you can detect that with like there's a big stop in the audio, with like the intro, like the drums play, and then there's a big stop, and then the bass line comes in, and at that exact stop point, the colors switch. So black and white get inverted. You probably know that point. And that's what I was looking for, because I know that's like the best point in time you can use to time the video. So we just have to fiddle with this some more until we get a value that is correct. But apart from that, it's actually looking very promising. Oh, this looks very accurate. At least from how she's dancing and how the audio is. Oh, that is almost on point. Oh god, that is so close. Now I didn't exactly see that, but yeah. I'm hoping that the video is always playing in time. So now the thing is the video playing fast enough for the audio, or is there like a mismatch there? Okay, I think the timing is staying the same. The audio is a bit early. Okay, now the audio is late. Okay, I think that would be a really... And now I've detached the entire process. Let's see. Let's kill A play here. Okay, I think the audio is playing too fast, like the video can't keep up. Where's the double buffering again? Set double buffering enabled false. I already did that. Maybe we just need to take down the frame rate again. Maybe it's just too high. And then I'll take down the speed here to like 900 or 800 something. And then I'll have to regenerate the audio, the video. Just a second. Okay, I'm back. I've regenerated the video, and now what I need to do is actually remove the disk image. I need to remove build i686 disk image, and now let's run that. Now it needs to create the entire image again, but that should be fine. Let's see how many frames we have here. Still significant. That's still over 1,000 frames. Okay, let's not waste any more time. Right, I deleted the image. Now the audio is late. But this is not 5 frames per second. Okay, so I think the system is just too slow. This is not running at 30 FPS or 60 or anything, like not even 5. Kinda asking myself where the issue lies, but a bit F1 I think, yeah. Yeah, it's not even updating that often. Wait, what the hell? Just a second. Yeah, it's kind of still, like the sync is kind of the same all the time. It's bad, but it's, yeah. I'm kind of confused as how these updates are happening. Maybe it's just because the entire system is overloaded. Well, anyways, now we have kind of a bad Apple demo. And this video will definitely be demonetized, or like I won't get the money for it. I don't get any money anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but yeah. So soon we're going to run into the problem that we can't load any more frames because the frames don't exist, so it will just crash. I think that's fine. Anyways, with that, I thank you very much for watching, and as in the true Andreas fashion, I hope you learned something interesting. I hope you found this interesting. Until next time, goodbye.